Yes, let's talk sport now. About, the business aspect of it. Nigeria is one of the few countries in Africa that does not invest in sports for profits. According to the report, poor funding and low investment rob the country of 500 billion naira revenue annually, while countries like South Africa and Morocco bid to host competitions to gain profits. Nigeria is the only country in recent times to have spent more than it earned in hosting international events. I have sport journalist with us, joining us, Stanley Ikau. Thank you for joining us.
Well, good afternoon, Ayo.
We're not serious about doing business when it comes to sports, the way we look at it. And they're talking about the Olympics they're talking about World Cup, the centenary of the World Cup now, that Morocco and 3 other countries are going to be hosting and everything. They asked somebody, a former Super Eagles player, and said, when can we bid for the World Cup? And the person was saying that maybe in the next 40 years.
Now, I think the first question should be, how ready have we always been? Let's even look at the competitions we've hosted in this country. We hosted, let's start from the Youth Kedan in 1999.
Nigeria 99.
We also want to look at our level of transparency and accountability as a person or as a people. Now, we hosted Koja 2003. We won, Egypt came second. The former vice president, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, was the DG of the Presidential Committee for All African Games. The DG then of the Nigerian Television Authority, President of Bemure Bruce, had issues. Why? Because the man asked the chairman or the DG of the Presidential Committee of the All African Games, Oga, these are the equipment you guys said you're going to provide. You guys didn't provide it. And at the end of the day, because you spoke to your superior, that virtually burnt him and, of course, threw him out of office. I think it's a rot in the system that has caused this whole thing. Now, another thing is, I ask you and Jide, can you invest your money in the Nigerian league? Now, the reasons are not far-fetched.
Stable.
You look at a league where you are not guaranteed that if you invest 10,000 naira, you will make 10,100. You look at also clubs or club owners that are trying as much as possible to invest and make ends meet. Let's look at Remo Stars. Before Remo Stars, there was Gabros. These guys came with a whole lot of ideas. Let's build the league. Let's see how we can transform things. But there are some forces. I'm sorry to say this. I don't know if the politics in politics is more than the politics in football. It's more overwhelming in football because you see things from the outside, you'll be like, oh, let me just say it because I'm from the outside. If you get inside, you know it's a different ballgame entirely. Now, the point is, do we have that enabling environment for sports to thrive? Let's even don't let me start from football. Let's start from athletics. In the last couple of years, it's been one doping case to the other. Obiloba Musong, Blessing Okagbare, now Divine Oborodudu. 6 years, 11 years respectively. Nigeria is a country on the A list of countries that dopes, and yet we've paid lip services to this whole issue. Now, this brings me to the point. How ready are we? We don't have the facilities. There are things we pay lip services to. Let's look at the tracks and the Titans at the National Stadium in Surulere. So many years of abandonment, our national edifice. 50 billion was put to put that stadium in Abuja together. Koja 2003 till today, nobody's talking about how much we made. The fire equipment they bought, over 2 billion. Now those equipment are worth 8 billion naira. They are still parked at the Park B of the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Now, when you put all these permutations together, even the system itself is not even helping matters. Let's look at all our previous ministers. From Solomon Dalong to Bolaji Ojoba to the previous minister, Sunday Dare. The list is endless. Each of them will come and say, we'll do this, we'll fix this. Yes, because we want to hear things that will change the narrative. You don't come and say, we'll just continue. No government will tell you, I want to continue. No. At least, you must continue. At least there's a good step in the right direction. Then you continue from there. But I make bold to ask this question. How many of our former sports ministers have laid a good foundation for others to follow? The answer is no. Solomon Dalong came. The only thing he was able to achieve as a sports minister was the swimming pool at the National Stadium in Surulere. Till date, nobody is using that swimming pool. Look at the Basketball Federation, in-house fighting. In-house fighting. Till today, I have...
Chairman.
You understand? I have asked one of the members to come for my program, and he has declined me several times. And I'm like, Oga, why? He said he doesn't want to talk about the NBBF. Why? Because there's a president who doesn't want this person to be there. And the president had issues with the sports minister before. But because of the love of the game, they had to resolve it. We don't have a league until this recently, where the ladies are beginning to do well in the, what's it called, the Zona qualifier, the Savannah Conference, and the, you understand? So, in all of this, first, I think, good thing we have a president that listens. And I feel now that we have a sports minister, who I also do think that he should surround himself. You don't necessarily need to know everything about a particular sector, but surround yourself with people that understand. You understand? Technocrats. The owner of Sporting Lagos has invested very well. Let's even look at the value of our league. Now, let me come back to football now. They said the national team is a reflection of the league. But look at our national teams. Or look at our leagues. We keep relying on players of foreign descent to come play for Nigeria. We have quality in the Nigerian Premier Football League. But the truth is this. How many of these players will get looking? Why? Because every foreign player that comes into the national team, the biggest investors want to invest in the foreign players. Now, what happens to the ones that are in the league? Now there's Sporting Lagos. Before now, there was MFM. Well run.
I was surprised to do
Wait, I am going there. Well run, well managed until one or two internal crises happened, and now the team was disbanded and handed it over to the original owner. Now there's Sporting Lagos, a club that understands the business angle of football.
Managed by Godwin Enakana,
God bless you.
that did MFM.
Now there's a Remo Stars, owned by Honorable Kule Sholamin.
Yes.
Now I think gradually, maybe we are beginning to see a bit of light that seem to be shining. But my brother, there are some powers that be that will not make all these guys, no matter the idea they bring into the picture. I ask you this question. No disrespect. All our ex-internationals, I've always been of the opinion that they should take up administrative duties and roles. But someone said something that he would rather watch the EPL than watch the NPFL. And it was this same NPFL that produced this man in 1990. I'm talking about Austin J.J. Okocha. If the league had not given him an opportunity to showcase himself, I'm sure the world would not have known who J.J. Okocha is or was. So I think it's a function of, one, creating an enabling environment. Let our facilities be there. We don't have a standard facility that can host any international competition. I mean, across board. We played the playoffs, the pre-Olympic playoffs with the Tigers. Not at the stadium, at a hotel. That tells you how disappointing, how embarrassing it can be.
It's not the biggest problem in my view is our inability to keep those equipment, those
facilities.
Yes, maintain those facilities, because Nigeria 99 was here. I watched Nigeria 99. I was in the stadium here to watch. I was in Kano. And Kofamata to watch. Yeah. After that, we've seen terrible decline of that, because if the National Stadium was like this at that time, nobody would have allowed you to host. They allowed us to host after checking the stadiums that will host those games and certifying them to be good enough. We should have built on that.
I'm telling you.
We should have built on that. South Africa too. I went to South Africa after they hosted the World Cup.
In 2010.
I observed that even some of the stadiums had begun to deteriorate. In fact, I did a small story about the Calabar Stadium. I entered some of the dressing room. Some of the showers were already bad, and at the time I went there, it was just like 1.5 years after the World Cup. You know, a lot of the facilities that they used were actually being used for rugby. They had to
convert it.
Yes, convert them for football because we weren't a big footballing nation. But in our own case, once we host that tournament, go back maybe a year after to go and look at what you find there. This national stadium that hosted so many big football matches, look at what we have turned it to. You can't believe that that's it. And it didn't take so long before it degenerated.
At all.
It didn't take so long.
Not even up to 2 years.
Yes, that's the point. And I'm like, this stadium, after all the money that we spent, we just left it. So it's such a terrible thing. When you were talking about whether I will agree to host, to invest in Nigerian football, I remember that even Globalcom,
sponsored the league for some years.
I remember we used to have mobile athletics championship. Because of lack of transparency, we frustrated these people. They are no longer interested in hosting.
And that's the reason why I asked if the politics in politics is more than the politics in football.
Or the greed in politics.
Okay, the greed in politics.
Yeah, because greed is, you have to put greed in the mix.
Because, like I said, the Nigeria 99 under 20 games World Cup we organized. How much was made? How much was declared as our profits? Let's even just put aside, okay, we renovated the state, we renovated our match venues and all of that. FIFA organizes this competition to improve age-grade football in these countries. But because we understand just one thing, how to cheat very well.
Yes.
We take, like, someone like Ayo can even play under 20. If you go shave his
beard. Allow him.
Is that?
If we allow him.
That's but we must face reality. First, on the part of the government, we keep talking about creating that enabling environment for this sport to thrive. Yes, you do your part. And I'll say this for a fact. Lagos State government cannot do it alone. We have some facilities. For example, at the Road Park.
You know my fear, sorry to cut in. I've been to Ikene.
Yeah.
I've seen what
Remo Stars.
Come on. You would think you are
in Europe.
The hostel, everything. I went into the kitchen where they cook for the players. You see what this guy, the kind of money, or there's an hotel already attached to.
It's not all clubs that have access to that.
If they frustrate the guy, honestly, it will be a tragedy for Nigeria.
I'm telling you.
Because what you have there is a world-class facility that he has put on the ground. There is a field for training. Yeah. There's the one where they play matches. All of that. Carefully. There's a gym.
That's
all around.
It's as simple as that.
Somebody was telling me that it's only Godswill Akpabio Stadium that has the international pitch that is approved.
Grass,
and that's because the same company that that constructed that stadium is the same company that's maintaining it.
Oh, they have a maintenance.
I cannot give Jide a contract and say, Ayo, help me maintain it. You don't know or have an idea how Jide constructed the stadium. And I'm giving you the contract. Why not give the same company that to maintain it? It's a 10-year contract.
How did we get to a situation in which churches were allowed
to be hosting their
national stadium, stand on the turf, on the grass,
and destroy it? I remember that time now. National stadium, they were always...
I think we must understand that the only way to put all this to rest is for us to begin to understand that football is a big business globally. The EPL in 2020 and 2021 made over $5 billion and 12% more in the 2021-2022 season. Now that tells you a country. Tell me what major natural resources does the UK have? They only know how to promote their league.
Human resources.
My brother, it's as simple as that. They know invest in this, and it's sad also that I'm sorry to say this. There are some key people that should not be running our foot. So there are some people, I beg your pardon, that should not be running some key areas in our sports. When we say put square pegs in square holes, it's not like you need to go bring one messiah. No. Okay, you're there. Make sure this sector works. And that's why I believe in this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I am very sure that whether we like it or not, at least a sector, at least if not like 4 or 5 sectors of the country's economy would last, and of course, we would, at the end of the day, look back and say, yes, this sector has done well. And until we realize that sport can affect this country's economic GDP,
Yes.
maybe then we realize, let's invest more.
And for one, sports is standing alone now.
You understand? So the Ministry of Youth is different from the Ministry of Sports.
Yes.
So both ministries now would work together. Okay, if it is okay, let's just even imagine this is the case. The Ministry of Youth and Sport were together before. One person controlling these two ministries. Okay, I can oversee this, I can oversee that. This time around, the Minister of Sport will have to call the Minister of Youth. Baba, bros, Oga, let's see how we can work together and prove, because you would agree with me that the youth of today have taken to more of drugs than even sports.
Because even the recreational centers that we built for them, we turned them to something else.
So there's so much.
Even when we were growing up,
Yeah.
table tennis looked like the sport of Lagos. Every part of Lagos, you see people playing table tennis. And there were many talents that were coming up. Today is no longer the case.
You're even going too far. Our first major focus in sports back then was boxing. Our first major glory as a country was brought to us through boxing.
Yes.
Today, where's boxing?
Is the national? We had the Eagle Belt Championship sponsored by National Oil in those days.
I saw a video of Ogambasi some time ago, and I wept. We keep celebrating Anthony Joshua, bro. Whether we like it or not, yes, it's a boxer of a Nigerian descent, no doubt about that. But truly, truly, and true, was he nurtured in this country?
No.
He didn't represent Nigeria. He represented the UK in 2012, and he won gold.
If he had remained there, he wouldn't have.
So, Tobiloba Amusan, the lady that is under investigation by the AIU, was frustrated. And someone just looked at her and said, "Young lady, can you do long jump?" And she said, yes. Today, she's a hero in long jump. Same thing as Chioma Ajunwa. She was on the verge of giving up.
Yes.
Not until someone looked at her and said, "Young lady, you understand?" So the list is endless. So we must understand that first, at the top, you understand, this was and still remains our first Olympic gold medal. But someone almost frustrated this woman out of the sport completely. Same thing as Oduayode Koroye. So I think we must consider the bigger picture and the profit.
I was thinking that for people like Adekuroye and the rest of them, that there will be some companies adopting them,
mentoring them,
and
taking care of
their needs, ensuring the way the Americans do.
Yeah.
So that
I think Solidarity tried in that.
Somebody told me that Toby Amusan, because that she is doing too many races and all that. And the Americans, what they do is they take good care of you, they adopt you, so that you don't have to be involved in so many races that make you burn out before competitions. You know? So we need to do a lot more of that. And female football, do we have any sponsor for the league? Or is the league even on?
The league is on, but they don't have a sponsor.
Wow.
They don't have a sponsor. Now, something happened before the commencement of the Nigerian Premier Football League. I have never heard anywhere where a league body will sign a 10-year contract with a company. The least I've heard is 4-5 years upon review. Now, they signed a 10-year contract, fine and good. You've given them, what's it called now, 10 million naira each to start up the league, 200 million naira to share. The winner will go home 150 million naira, 10 million naira better of, 150 million naira, 12% better of what the previous winner won last season. Yeah. Good development. But my point is, why sign a 10-year contract? What if another company wants to come invest
and they will give a better deal
and a better offer? What happens? Then the infighting starts and continues. There's a Daniel Amoka. That's why I keep lamenting, and I'm sad that we have ex-internationals who don't speak out.
Yeah, but they've been frustrated. Look at even when Odegbami was
vying to become LFA president.
They hate him so much. Odegbami was one of the executives of Shooting Stars in those days. They fought him out of the system. They didn't want him to be there.
NFF chairmanship several times.
That was even long after. I mean, he was I think welfare officer of Shooting Stars. they fought Odegbami out of that position. As welfare officer of Shooting Stars, you see him ask him. I remember, we were growing up then. So they don't even want to see some of these ex-stars. They don't want them. They don't want people who have knowledge of the issues. They don't. And we are going down in sports because we are not doing things the right way. When we were growing up, I was talking about athletics clubs.
Yeah.
We used to have athletics clubs.
You remember now, the only place we are doing well is patriotic Nigerians schooling abroad for basketball, male, female, coming together to come and represent their fatherland.
Even the ones we are doing where that we have athletes or participants in this country is the Paralympics. How well are these guys being?
And they always win medals for us.
We go to the Olympics, we go to the Paralympics. These guys are major focus going to any major championship. But when they go, they come back. Someone said they go, they win, and they come back with the spirit of the game. Maybe just
officials who collect tackle and all that.
And you ask yourself, the welfare package. You see, when you talk about poor funding, I think poor funding has to do with one, the rot in the system.
I don't even know our new sport minister.
There is a lot of work to do.
To be done.
A lot of work.
Honestly speaking, and I just hope President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would, because there are so many things the man.
And thank you, Stanley Ikau, sport journalist.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for your intervention.
Always a pleasure.
The maestro himself.
I'm sure we will have to come back and talk about this a lot more.
Honestly.
If we want the government to succeed, we have to tell them what to do.
Yes, that's what the